welcome back from our commercial. As I promised you, we have another wonderful guest to come speak to us about early issues in early childhood. And that is, are you ready? Miss Diana Ross. Oh, Miss Ross, you are a legend. I'm just so happy that you honor us with your presence.
Thank you.
Now, Diana has had, just like our previous guest, many accolades and awards for her wonderful music career and entertainment industry work. But today, again, we are talking to her about something even more special. How important is this issue to you, Miss Ross?
This issue is just, it has a special place in my heart because, you know, the importance of children being able to develop correctly and being able to get the help they need is very important.
Mm-hmm. And Miss Ross has children.
Yes.
And grandbabies, too.
Yes.
So this is really important to her, and that's, if I remember, that's how you came upon this. You were watching your grandchild develop, and of course, as all grandmothers are, very eager to see them grow and learn, and you started wondering if some of the things that they were doing were appropriate. I believe he cried for something.
Yes, he wanted an apple off the counter, and the way he was crying was worrying me.
So she ended up finding another screening tool, just like the ASQ. In fact, it's the ASQ's brother or sister, called the Ages and Stages Questionnaire Social Emotional. Now, this is a screening tool that helps us identify early on how the children's social emotional development is going, because the ASQ does the overall development. It's not very sensitive to social emotional issues. Were you excited when you found this tool?
I was overly excited.
Was it really hard for you to use?
No, it's super easy.
And so what Miss Ross has done is teamed up with Miss Jackson, or Janet. She lets me call her Janet. But she's teamed up with her to try to promote early learning programs to encourage their parents to use these tools early on, and the teachers to use these tools early on, so that if there are some difficulties, they'll catch it early and they can provide support and remediation so that when they enter school, they'll be more likely to be on target. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So what we've done is, just like before, we're going to show you how easy it is to score the ASQ SE, Social Emotional. And so I made these cards. Cool, right?
Yeah, awesome.
So step one, determine the child's age, just like the last one. We did the target child, and it was 30 months old, so we chose the 30-month-old questionnaire. Now, if our camera person, Brandy, can zoom in. Betsy took a break. You can see that it's for children ages 27 through 32 months. So if they fall in that range anywhere, they can use the 30-month questionnaire. And they all work like that. There's always 2 or 3 months before or after the age where this questionnaire will still work, so it makes it a little bit easier. And so that was the first step, and I did that. And then I selected the correct questionnaire, because he was 30 months, so that was a perfect match. Lucky me. And then step 3, read over the important points. Just like the ASQ, there's a first page that has important points to read over. Make sure you do that before you implement and score the program. Then step 4, you fill out the information page. Much like the last ASQ, I'll show you the information page. I call it the nosy sheet. But you fill out the little nosy sheet, and it gives you some information. The child's name, we're using an anonymous name today, who's filling it out, the birthday and today's date, and how to get in contact with the person that's filling it out, so the parents know how to reach them if they have questions. If the parents didn't fill it out themselves, the parents can do this one themselves. So then we go to step 5, which is administer the items. So you sit down with your child and you go item by item, asking them to do a task or asking them a question. Or you observe them and you see them carry out the task. So I did that with my target child. And you do it for each page. This says in each domain, but really it's each page, because there's only one domain for the social emotional. Then you mark the items on each page, and I did that here. And we have, Brandy, if you'll zoom in for us, camera lady Brandy. We have 3 choices: most of the time, sometimes, or rarely or never. Now, sometimes, most of the time is a great answer. We want that to happen. For example, does your child look at you when you talk to them? That's something you want to happen most of the time. But sometimes we don't want most of the time to be answered. For example, does your child seem too friendly with strangers? We don't want that to happen a lot.
Yeah.
Have you ever had your children get a little too friendly with strangers?
Yeah, to the point where I thought like something bad would happen.
So most of the time, it's not always a positive answer. So you do have to read each item carefully and carefully select the column. So you would check off what they did. And now this is really neat. Brandy, if you can get this, there's a little circle over to the side here. And what that is check if this is a concern. And as you can see, this child, the item was, does your child cling to you more than you expect? And this child does most of the time, and that was a concern for me filling out this form. The child was a little too clingy. So that became an issue that I want to look into. So if parents report a concern, you can check that off. So that's how you do it. Then you go on to step 7, which is total up each page. Now, for this one, as you can see, because the item's flippy-floppy a little, you have to look at the little letter next to your check mark. If it's a Z, that means 0 points. If it's a V, it means 5 points. And if it's an X, I'll just point to one, it means 10 points. Now, if we have any behavioral concerns, that's an additional 5 points. So this one got 0 plus 0 plus 10. See the 10? Plus 5. So we're up to 15 now. Plus 0, plus 0, plus 0, plus 5. So that puts us up to 20. Plus 5, 25, plus 5, 30, plus 0. So we have 30 points, but we also have a behavioral concern. So that puts us up 5 more points. So now we're up to 35 points. So I'm going to write 35 on the little bottom line. Can you see it? 35. So that's the total for this page. Okay? And my little cue card here reviews the points. Z's are zeros, V's are 5. X's are 10 points, and if you checked a behavioral concern for each one, that's an additional 5 points. So then we go on to step 8, where you answer the final open questions and then total up that final page. So you do the totals for each page, which I had done ahead of time. And you get to the last page over here for the questionnaire, and you see there's one more item. Has anyone expressed concerns about your child's behaviors? And in this case, no, so it was a 0. And then you answer these open-ended questions. Does anything worry about you about your child? Do you have any concerns? What things do you enjoy the most? Those kinds of things, just to get more information. So you do that. Then you transfer all the information to the summary sheet. Now, Ms. Ross or Diana,
Yes.
this is the summary sheet, and you remember this page. Now, if you remember, my first page had 35 points, so I'm going to write it right here. And zoom on in. And this gives you the totals for each page, and then you just add them down. So 35 plus 15, that's 50, plus 10 is 60, plus 0. So it's still 60 points is total. We take that number and we put it into our little cutoff boxes.
All right.
60 points. And it says, you transfer the total, and the cutoff is 57. This child got a 60. So you compare the total cutoff score with the score cutoff above. If the score is higher than the cutoff, we have a concern. So this child has one little concern, it's that clingy thing, if you remember,
Yes.
and a couple of other issues. So then we're going to say, oh, he's higher than the cutoff. In this case, we want it to be lower than the cutoff. So since it's higher than the cutoff, we have a few things that we need to look into. So we'll probably rescreen again in about 2 weeks to see if everything stays the same, because you know kids have bad days.
Yes.
And if everything does stay the same, we're going to look at possibly getting some intervention on the areas that showed weakness back in the checklist. And it's just that easy. You're all done. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We appreciate you coming out, Ms. Ross. And maybe after the break we can get Miss Jackson and Miss Ross to sing a song.